This movie brought me to tears of anger and disgust and fear. Howdy. And welcome back to... What the fuck is this? My whiteboard bit sucks today, and also it's very blue, so we're just gonna... Aww. My magnum opus. You know, I was struggling to find something to talk about this week. I like to keep a little variety, just so I'm not losing my mind by talking about cartoon shows all the time. But this is worse. I was doing another dive into the hit streaming service, Tubi's catalog, when I was surprised by the thumbnail of a movie called DogTown 3. Number 1, why does the dog look like that? He looks like if an AI generator tried to make a dog animatronic for Five Nights at Freddy's. There is no soul behind those beady little eyes. 2, DogTown 3? Do I have to know the Dogtown deep lore as well? 3, this movie was made last year, 2022. And 4, why did they put good boy in the tiniest little font at the bottom of the poster? DogTown 3. You're gonna come with me on this journey. You don't have a choice. DogTown is a trilogy of films, the first of which was directed by James Snyder, who also works on a whole bunch of other bargain bin animated movies. But he didn't return for the sequels. I think that's kinda telling of the quality. The sequels were directed by Ryan Polan, who, from my research, has only worked on these 2 movies. Bob Lafano wrote these sequels, so just take a swing at what else you think he's worked on. That's right, nothing. These movies were made by Dream Machine Animations and FamilyEntertainment.tv, who specializes in these bargain bin ripoff movies. You know, normally I talk about voice actors, history, maybe the impact the movie has had, but there's nothing. Just this sad sack of a terrible movie. Now, normally what most people would do in this situation is, well, not talk about it at all, but at least talk about the first one. No. I'm talking about 3. So let's begin. The movie begins with a narration of the setting from an omniscient being that kinda sounds like Paimon from Genshin Impact. Alright, so we're off to a terrible start. I told you we don't care about the context from the other movies, but this opening is shot for shot ripped from the second one. Also, the narrator says that the boys and girls living there are loving, kind, and a little wacky. Just like you. You don't know a goddamn thing about me, okay? We meet our main characters, Bob and Chester, and they have a very confusing conversation about being the mayor and doing mayor things. And it's all looped over recurring animation. They end up walking the same 20 feet forward for a minute and a half. Listen, reusing animation is fine. Many incredible movies wouldn't exist without the practice, but at least try, you know? Also, because they do it so often, I'll be repeating the dog puns that they wrote down, performed, and edited into this movie. How about that new superhero flick? The Pawvengers. And should we look online? How about Wikipedia? They go to Bob's dad for assistance on being the mayor. Bob is not fit for being any kind of political figure. After his dad explains the duties of being the head of a town in pretty good detail, Bob asks this.
Do we have to talk to everyone? I mean, even the folks who we don't like? Can we just ignore them a little bit though? You know, if they start talking, we can just make believe that we can't hear them?
Never mind, he's just every single politician ever. They go to a diner to grab a meal and meet up with a couple of their employees, I think. Their job is to report to the mayors after every patrol. Also, this guy is just way too horny for bones.
Bones!
So that's their first task. Get more bones. Also, Bob tells Chester a story about hot sauce, but in the middle of the conversation, Chester's voice actor changes entirely.
Why was he named after a word meaning yes?
I see. See what I did there?
They must have mislabeled the lines because that is a different person in a different character's voice. Afterwards, they go talk to Fleabag. He tells them about a mean guy going around calling Bob dumb. Now that's some real kids movie plot right there. Fleabag also asks for a Roomba. Cool, next location. They bump into their nemesis, Rich, who seems to be up to no good. Also, he says something, but I can't hear if it's a pun or not. It might be a play on the word poppycock, but that would mean he said His whole beef with them is that he thinks they stole the mayoral election by asking people to vote for them. Rich ends up being so salty about it that he goes to the head news reporter of the city and begs her for a segment to talk about how he deserved the win. Speaking of the news, this news reporter says that she's going to record the hit new show on her Dog CR. Fuck, man. Okay. Anyway, Rich's lackey Barney broadcasts the reason as to why he believes the election was stolen. Apparently, in the DogTown deep lore, Bob's dad won the election, but dropped out at the last second and gave all of his votes to his son. You know what? Yeah, I do think that they stole that election. What the fuck? So the news decides that they're gonna hold a new election because they have that kind of power, and we cut over to these side characters, which includes the one who gets a bone for bones, as they go talk to an elephant? It's DogTown. You can't go throwing other animals at me. You're gonna give me a goddamn heart attack. They're apparently going on a mission to try to get the truth out of Rich, but like, you already know what he wants. He wants to be in charge of the city by becoming the mayor of the city. The mayor boys decide to go paw-trolling. Yep, they reused a pun, to go try and psych Barney out of wanting the job. Oh, hey, remember the jobs that they needed to do? Find bones and get this guy a Roomba? Yeah, those don't ever come up again. Not even once. With Barney dealt with, they just need to find some way to deal with Rich. That's when Muggs here decides to spill Rich's entire backstory about how he was abandoned on a shore with nothing to his name as a kid. Yo, new DogTown lore just dropped. He also talks about sailing the Mediterranean Sea. Can I be done now? They confront Rich over his past and he immediately pulls out of the race. Movie over. No? The mayor boys don't seem to actually want to be mayor, so they go to resident genius Bartholomew. Sure, I want to point out that there's another pun here, but it's not necessarily a dog pun. He says that he finally got his radio connection to the planet Uranus licked. Okay, butt licking joke. No, even worse. He said that a deep dive into it really did the trick. He gives them what I would assume to be the lesson of the movie by saying, you guys have to be the best mayor that you can be, don't just try to be your dad. Then, suddenly, we whip over to the news again, and after talking about a festival called Burning Bone, that one's just not even remotely clever, the reporters transition to an exclusive interview with the ex-mayor Jay, Bob's father. He talks about how sorry he is for fucking up the election and for forcing his son and son's friend into the position. So, he asks for his position as mayor back from his kid. They say yes, and the narrator ends it off by telling us to have a howling good time. Listen here, okay? You don't get to dictate how good of a time I'm having, alright? Watching that movie was fucking torture and... Hey, why did I watch that movie? To recap my entire thoughts, let's go through a couple of talking points. The visuals were not good. The same model was used for almost every single character. The animations were just odd. They would often cut to like reaction shots of characters, but most of the time they were just like jittering around. Speaking of cuts, the editing was just awful. It would often cut at weird times, and a lot of the dialogue pacing was just so bad. You know, a conversation would be cut together with like no pauses, no breathing room, no way to like comprehend what the characters are saying. But then you'd get bits of these awkward silent moments where it would just really drive home how bad it is. The writing was bad, the line delivery was bad. I can't find a single good thing to say about it. If this were some random person's YouTube movie, I'd be like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But this is a company who makes money off of these movies. I've seen official listings for this movie online for $20. I'm gonna say it. The True Story of Puss in Boots is a better movie than this. At least that movie had some sense of style to it. This movie has nothing. Hi, it's editing me. I forgot to say that the song that plays during the credits is called Dog is God Spelled Backwards. It's definitely a song. I can tell you that. This movie was awful. 1+. Oh, and if you want to know what the true masterpiece DogTown movie is, take a look at a clip from this trailer.
Wait, I'm a dog? Here in Dogtown, you got big dogs, you got small dogs, but in the end, we're all dogs. I can't be a dog, I gotta get home. Did that really just happen?
Thanks for joining me today, folks. Adios. Listen here, oh God. Listen here, okay? You don't get to dictate how good of a time I'm having. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.